How's it going, anybody and everybody who might be watching this? Is Alex T Zombie. Today what I'm gonna be doing for you guys is giving you a block by block tutorial for this piglin bartering farm, which is not only capable of producing and sorting 100,000 items per hour, but also able to store those items inside of shulker boxes, which we then deliver to a friendly user interface for the player's convenience. Before I do go ahead and get started with the rest of the showcase, I want to give quick props to Slack Lizard. It was from their video where I originally learned the logic behind granting item entities momentum via the use of brewing stands. If you guys want to learn more about it or just check out his channel, I will be linking them in the description down below, where you will also find a Structura file. The way this works is you place an armor stand and you name it Piglin, and you guys will see that it will actually display a ghost image of the build in order for you to have an easier time building it in survival. Now that I've given credit where credit is due, the input here has three main inventories that you will be interacting with as the player. We have the double chest filled with the gold ingots, and then we have the input to the shulker loader and the output to the shulker loader. Because of the new crafter block, we are actually able to condense the amount of gold that we can input to the system at once, meaning that this actually takes shulker boxes full of gold blocks. Here I have them partially filled for the sake of demonstration, but of course you will be inputting shulker boxes that are filled completely with gold blocks from your gold farm. So the way this works is as soon as you place the shulker boxes into the input, it'll put it on display for us. And once they are emptied, it'll break it, place the next one in line, and return the emptied shulker box to the player. From here, I went ahead and took the liberty of implementing an on and off switch, just in case you have to step away from the farm before it is done unloading the entirety of the gold. So we can go ahead and flip this off and give it a quick test run. When it comes to the rest of the interface here, you guys will notice that I only have 6 out of the 17 items that we can gather from trading with piglins. And the reason for that is that I'm not too sure what items you would want to store in bulk as the player. So instead, what I'm gonna do is teach you how to build the 3 different types of modules, and then you can decide which items you want to store a mass amount of. So if we take a look in here, these are all the items that you can get from trading with piglins. And then this is how I would order them. The top is most likely I would store in shulker boxes. The middle row is maybe I would store in shulker boxes. And then the bottom row, I feel I don't need more than 4 chests full of arrows. And the same argument stands for the rest of these items. But again, this is my preference. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of how you might want to sort them out. When it comes to the materials list, I decided to separate the items necessary to build the fancy shulker box unloader here. You can get away with just the double chest filled with gold ingots. So that's why I went ahead and separated all of this circuitry from the rest of the farm. One thing I also want to point out before I move on, everywhere you see glass, with the exception of like 10 blocks, you can make solid blocks if you choose. Here we have a necessary part of the materials list. This is what we're actually going to power the entire farm and have the piglin trading at faster rates via aggroing them. These are the items that you're going to need for a module of shulker loaders. I would recommend having extra brewing stands and a good stack or 2 of packed ice. Moving on from there, we have the materials for a module that just sends the items into double chests via the use of item elevator. Then I also forgot to mention, for every item that you sort out inside of the hopper minecart sorting system, you're going to want 28 filler items. And then from there we have the materials necessary to build a lay sorter that sends the items into shulker boxes, and one that just sends them into double chests. Before you start making a space for the farm, and before we can get to mapping out the dimensions, we need to first take into account the fact that as you're walking forward, the X value, that first coordinate, is becoming more positive. and that would be the direction that our farm is going to be facing. The next thing to take into account is how big of a space you're going to need for the farm. To build the farm that I am going to show you guys, it's going to be 25 block wide by 14 blocks long and then 16 blocks tall. However, keep in mind that the width of the farm is going to change depending on how many of the items you're looking to store. Every shulker loader is 4 wide tileable. That means that for every item that you want to load into shulkers, you have to dedicate to it 4 blocks horizontally, left to right. For all of the items that you just want to throw straight into chests, they are going to be 2 wide tileable. Finally, RLA sorters, you want to dedicate at least 3 items horizontally. So finally, getting started, the first thing you're going to do, you're going to look at your X direction, and then you're going to come to the opposite wall to your left. This is the corner we're going to start at. 7 blocks in, and then 5 blocks inward. This is where our first crafter is going to go. So if we start counting 4 blocks, on the 4th block is going to go the next crafter. And then again, on the 4th block is going to go the next crafter. Now, we're going to also place another crafter to the right of those, like this. We can grab our dispensers, place them facing upward. So we're going to place some temporary blocks here. And then we're going to place hoppers in this orientation. And this is what's going to effectively create the 4 times hopper speed unloading. And we can go ahead and start getting rid of these glass panes now. The shulker boxes are going to be getting broken by these sticky pistons behind our hoppers here. And then we want to continue this going all the way down. Just like this. What we need to do now is we need to place 2 temporary blocks like so. We're going to place a dropper. And then we're going to have 2 hoppers leading into that dropper. And then another hopper leading into that hopper line there. And we're going to repeat these. We're going to repeat this for the other 2 modules. Once you've done that, you can go behind the system. We're going to go place a block here. Diagonally downward is going to go another sticky piston facing the dispensers, just like that. Here would be a good time to start placing the comparators. They're going to be reading from our shulker boxes as well as the blocks in front of those comparators. You're going to take some redstone torches and place them on either end of those blocks. Go behind and start placing now some glass blocks. These have to be specifically glass blocks so we don't power the hoppers beneath. Go like this. And now what we need to do, we need to go up a block on top of these torches. And on the face of those, we're going to place more torches like so. We're then going to have sticky pistons in front of all these. You're going to go down here and place some observers facing downward, or I guess facing upward, just like that. And on these sticky pistons, we're going to place some solid blocks on their sides, just like this. All of those observers are going to be the ones responsible for powering them, and then some redstone torches on the back of these guys. And believe it or not, that's actually the entirety of the shulker loader complete. The only thing that you need to do now is prime the shulker loaders here, or I'm gonna show you guys how to do one of these, and then the rest you're gonna take care of yourself. These are rather expensive, so again, it depends on you as the player and where you are in your world. You're gonna start off by crafting 2 shulker boxes. The first is gonna go on top of that dispenser, and the second one's going to go inside of the dispenser. From here we can go into our crafters, and if we do the math, a double chest holds 54 items, and we've already crafted 2 shulker boxes, so we take 2 away from the 54. That's 52. So we're going to need 52 extra shulkers to craft. If you split the stacks in half and then split those in half again, all you have to do from there is just add 4 on top of those guys, and there you go. That's going to craft our extra 52 shulkers that we're going to need. It's not necessary, but I like canceling out these extra sections here. If you want to do this the old-fashioned way, you can have hoppers leading into the dispensers and then some barrels on top of these guys. Fill up these guys with the crafted shulkers, and then they'll go into the dispenser just the same. But I like the crafter doing the job for us because it tends to simplify the footprints and cost of the build here. From here, we are going to go ahead and start building up the actual item filters. To start off with, you're going to want to grab yourself some fences, and again, you're building this in the direction that X becomes more positive. The top rightmost corner there is going to be empty. We're going to leave that one empty for now, and we're going to do a little L shape just like this. Here we're going to place our first hopper minecarts. You can nudge them forward a little bit, break the rail, and then push the hopper minecarts forward. You guys will notice that it's a little bit unsafe there. It can be nudged around, and we want to avoid that as much as possible. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to grab a piston with a block on its face and push that block forward. This will make it more difficult for us to hit the hopper minecart. And I'm also going to place another block here. And just to be safe, you can also place another block back here. So now it's not remotely possible for us to access the minecart at all. From here, we're going to place our next set of hopper minecarts. We're going to start by placing activator rails on top of these glass blocks. We want to again do the same trick to keep the minecarts from being able to move. So we're going to redirect the rails so that they're facing back and forth. And then on top of these, now we can place the hopper minecarts. From here, we're going to go back 2 blocks like so. On the face of this block, we're going to place a redstone torch. We're going to place a block on top of there. We're going to go back. This block specifically has to be a glass block in order for the signal to actually be able to travel downward, just like this. This one's going to be our comparator. From here, we can place our final hopper minecart, which is going to go on top of this block. We're going to stand it on a detector rail, and this is what's going to allow us to read a signal from it. Again, we don't want them to be able to get out, so we are going to redirect the rails just like this and place some blocks on either end of these hopper minecarts to keep them in place. From here, you're going to take your ice and you're going to start placing it against those comparators just like this. And now you guys will notice that these hopper minecarts are our filter carts. If we start placing items here, they won't trickle downward until they reach a certain fill level. This is where you can take the liberty to start filling up the hopper minecarts. You're going to want 28 filler items in each hopper minecart, as well as the item that you're looking to filter out. And just spread out the just spread out the filler items into the rest of your hopper minecart slots, just like this. And that's going to sort out all the items. If you're looking to sort out the ender pearls, it's the same concept. They would just trickle down like that and reach a fill level of 2. So don't worry, it's the same idea. From here, you're going to want to place the first brewing stand right here, button, slab, and repeat this pattern going down. And then you're going to wrap this in some slabs going all the way down just like this. Now, if we were to align our items just right, the brewing stands will propel them down the storage system. Next, I'm going to show you guys how to build the regular filters that are just going to funnel our items into chests. We're going to start at the end of this sticky piston. We're going to do a little reverse L shape like this. We're going to take a dropper, face it upward, remove these temporary blocks. So realize that now we have gone back down to hopper speed. It is no longer working at 4 times hopper speed. So you want to keep in mind that only the items that are rare, such as obsidian and the happy ghast, crying obsidian, are the ones that you want to funnel into chests like this regularly. From here, you just have to repeat the same process for the filters that you did for the other guys. And I'm gonna go ahead and build another one right next to it so you guys can see what that would look like. So again, you're gonna have some hoppers leading into a dropper just like so. And then we're gonna have the fences facing into each other like that. We're gonna place our hopper minecarts, and then we're gonna want to align these guys into the corner there. Same thing right here. Make sure they're up against the corner. We're gonna want to go backwards, placing a piston in order to be able to push a block into that hopper minecart. We're gonna want an extra block here so that hopper minecart can't get out, and an extra block here as well so we can't nudge into it. Same concept over here. Notice there's already a fence right here, so we don't have to worry about making that a block. Now we just have to place a block right here in order to stop any hopper minecarts flying away. This is where we can start implementing our activators rails again. You really want to make sure that these can't get out. You're going to want to do the same thing with the rail that you did with the glass. Just make sure it's facing the correct orientation. Push it in, and you can get rid of the extra blocks. And now you can place blocks on either end in order to make sure that our hopper minecart won't be able to get nudged off. Because this one on the edge doesn't have any neighboring cells, we can just place a temporary block, get rid of that one, and then place a block next to that in order to hold our hopper minecarts in. Again, the filters follow the same design going all the way up. We're going to lead the ice road down some more blocks, as well as repeat the pattern with the brewing stands and the buttons, just like this. So that's the item filtering for all of the more rare items. And finally, I'm gonna show you guys how to add in the allay sorter. From this filter, we can actually go ahead and start getting rid of that one. The items will have enough momentum to slide the rest of the way, and this is also where your fire is going to go. You can grab yourself your soul sand or whatever, it may be a cactus, whatever it is that you prefer, and light that puppy up. We're going to place on this end a note block as well as a pressure plate. So from here you get to decide if you want the allay to only send your items into chests, or if you want them to send them into a shulker loader. If you're going to do the shulker loader design, face it downward and skip forward in the video. If you're going to do the simple one that just sends them up into the chest, you're going to have the hopper facing backward. And then on the face of this temporary block, we're going to place a dropper facing upward with another hopper on its back, just like that. Getting the allay into position is rather tricky, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do this. You're gonna build a little chute just like that. You're gonna have to get an allay to wherever you are in the world. Once you get it to follow you, you give it an item, any random item, and then you're gonna want to toss it into the center there. What you're gonna want to do is keep doing this until the allay flies inside and trap it inside of this chute. If you need to, you can make this chute a couple blocks taller, just like this. Eventually the allay will find its way in and you guys can trap it inside. It juked the hell out of me right there. So make sure that you're spamming this as fast as you can as soon as you see the allay get close, because it's going to be it's a rather tedious process, but eventually the allay will cooperate and you can get it stuck inside of this area. From here, what you can do is you can wait for it to float down a little bit, break that block, and then place another one on top of its head. So what you're going to do here, once you have the lay stuck inside, this very topmost block, replace it with a slab, just like this. And then we can start taking a piston, facing it downward. We can place a block on its face and start pushing the lay down into the hopper. If we do this one more time. Okay, I lied. We're going to want to be a little bit careful here. It looks like we pushed the hopper with it. Some technical difficulty here, folks, because I realized that I forgot to get rid of that block, but luckily I can just go ahead and break this really quickly and place the hopper, and that should take care of that. So make sure there's no block on top. You remove that block before you start pushing everything, but that's the general idea. You make a little chute, you get it trapped, you replace its top head, or the block on top of its head, with a top slab. And now whenever you push it downward, it'll get stuck inside of the hopper, just like that, and it'll now act as the item sorter. You can pick up whatever junk item you were using and start giving it a soul speed book in order for it to start sorting out the items. Now, if you're going to want to have the non-stackable items going into shulker loaders, you're going to start off by placing the hopper, again, place the hopper facing downward. We're going to reintroduce our allays. You guys are going to go through that whole process. I'm just going to spawn it in. If you guys want to know how to get the allay in there, skip back a couple seconds and it'll show you how to place an allay in there in survival mode. After you've placed it in there and you have it trapped underneath the slab, you can give it an enchanted book or a soul speed book and it'll start sorting those out for you. We're going to place a regular piston like this, have a temporary block, a dispenser, and then underneath the dispenser we're going to have another temporary block, and facing into it we're going to have a crafter. And this is again same concept. We're going to fill the crafter with shulker shells as well as chests. The dispenser is going to have one shulker box, and we're going to manually place the empty shulker box in front of our dispenser. We're going to go now back here. We're going to replace these two blocks. We're going to place a solid block underneath our piston, 2 redstone torches on each of these guys. We're going to go behind our regular piston, place any block, a comparator leading into a solid block. We're then going to go downward, temporary block here, piston facing forward, dust on top of that sticky piston just like this. We're then going to grab our observer and face it upward, and that's going to be the entirety of the circuit for our shulker unloader. So we're going to grab a temporary block here, another temporary block here, and finally we can have a dropper facing upward. Then we can have 2 hoppers going back just like this. So from here we're going to make our way back to this first brewing stand. We're going to place a block here, another block here, and then a block backwards just like this. We can break that block. We're going to have another brewing stand right on top of this guy. This is where it can get a little bit tricky. You're going to want to make this type of shape and then add in a rail line leading into that brewing stand. And what I recommend doing, you're going to grab yourself a minecart, place it here. So you're going to want to build a staircase going up to the hopper minecart here. I would even push this back a block just to make sure that we get the piglin into the hopper minecart to begin with. So what you're going to do, you're going to spawn a piglin, preferably maybe one with a sword so it's not shooting at you the whole time. But all you have to do now, well, I'm going to give myself a little bit of a head start so I can show you guys. I'm in peaceful, but as soon as I put this in survival mode, in hard mode, he's going to start following me. You guys can see he started following me. And then once you get him into the minecart, it's all smooth sailing from there. If you're having trouble, a lot of the times what I like to do as well is bring some gold with me. And then I use the gold to have the piglin follow me. Now, before we get him in there, another thing you want to take care of is you want to make sure he doesn't ever despawn. So you're going to grab yourself a name tag and rename this guy inside of an anvil. Once you've done that, you're going to push this guy forward. You guys will see that he'll fall in there. You can start, why is he pointing like that? You can start building up some more of the infrastructure. You can remove this block right here and then add in the blocks surrounding the piglin. Here, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to start here and nudge the piglin forward by a block, just like that. And that'll align him properly. Next, just make sure he can't get out for now. Block the top, the sides, everything. From here, you're going to take 3 chests and you're going to place them on top of each other just like that. So now what we can do, we can come over here, place a temporary block, place a dropper upward, and then another dropper in upward just like this. A trapdoor, and you're going to want to flick it upward. You're going to place 2 hoppers facing into each of these. From here, it's another decision for you. If you want to just build a simple one where you're only ever going to input gold ingots into the piglin farm, then you're going to place a hopper going backwards like this. If you're looking to build the fancier one, then you're going to place a hopper going to the left like that. So let's get started with the easier one. You're going to place 2 chests on top of this hopper. We're going to go back here. We're going to start by taking a temporary block here, and then we're going to face a observer into it. You guys can remove these guys for now, just so you can have a little bit more room to work with. Place a comparator reading off of this top dropper, and then the glass block again, so that this guy doesn't start shooting at us. We're going to then replace this block. We're going to add in a sticky piston on the bottom. And finally, we're going to have a gold block here. And then from here, you're going to take a solid block back here and place the redstone dust on top of that solid block. So from here, it's ready to test out. If you take some gold and throw it up inside of here, you guys will see that he starts generating an insane amount of items really, really fast. If you guys are looking to build the fancier version, you're going to change up these blocks so that they're sitting like this. From here, you're going to go down. You're going to place a glass block here with a repeater going into it like so. Behind this repeater, you're going to want a target block. Then we're going to have a dropper facing upward and a crafter block facing into this chest. And also, I guess this is a good time to mention that you guys can go ahead and start placing the floor here. I probably should have said that a little bit earlier. I apologize. This is our on and off switch. You guys can see the only thing is missing is to power this hopper here. So the way we're going to reach that hopper, we're going to go behind it, up a block like this, down a block, and then go all the way around just like so. So that'll power the target block. We're going to have into this guy 2 hoppers leading forward like this. In front of these hoppers, we're going to have our barrel, and then next to that barrel is going to go another hopper leading into it. Here we're going to have a comparator facing outward. What's going to happen over here, we're going to start off by placing a solid block and then a dispenser facing us just like this. To the left of the dispenser, we're going to have a regular piston. On top of this guy, we're going to have a hopper and then a barrel just like this. Behind this, we're going to have a observer facing back and an observer facing downward. From here, what's going to happen, this is where you're going to take your slime blocks. You're going to place a slime block here, here. At this point, I realized that I messed up with the materials list, and we actually needed 1 less slime block than what you gathered. So you guys keep that on me. So we're going to go backwards like this. A sticky piston. Actually, no, a sticky piston here on the face of this slime block. In front of this comparator, we're going to have a block. We're going to go downward. Redstone dust here. I guess you could also get away with this if you really wanted to. That'll work as well, whatever suits your fancy. Then we're going to place 3 comparators on 4 ticks, just like so. Behind this comparator, we're going to place an observer facing into this block. From here, we're going to want 2 solid blocks like so, and a piece of redstone dust. If we're inputting items into this crafter, which by the way, go ahead and start filling them in now. All the slots except for one. I guess you can leave the middle one empty, whatever you prefer. Every time the crafter goes off, it crafts 9 items. But down here, we're only subtracting 2 items at a time. So eventually, this chest will end up getting filled. The crafter is going to keep crafting, so we're going to lose gold ingots to the back here. In order to avoid that, we need to add in a failsafe. So what you're going to do in order to fix this, you're going to start off by placing a comparator on top of that target block, a block behind it, a block in front of it. You're going to go forward, place a piece of redstone dust, a comparator facing forward like this on subtract mode, and behind it, you're going to place a piece of cake. Just like that. The cake happens to have a redstone signal of 14, which means that once the chest is mostly filled and the comparator reads a redstone signal of 14, this will subtract 14 from 14 and it'll equal 0, which means that we can then send a signal down here to stop our crafter from crafting any more items. And the easiest way to do this is going to be to stop the input of items completely. So that means we're going to go to the main hopper back here, placing a solid block. And on top of it, we're going to have a redstone torch. We're going to take 2 blocks like this. We're then going to snake this upward by 2 diagonal blocks. Just like that. In front of this comparator, we're going to go forward, and then we're going to place a repeater here, solid block here, and remove that temporary block. We need a solid block here. Now, the only thing is we need to hook up the on and off switch to it. In order to do this, all we have to do is take a sticky piston underneath there, a solid block, and then extend this redstone wire by 1, just like that. So now all we need is a way to power our crafter as well as the item elevator, or in other words, the dropper, to send items into that chest, which is actually as easy as just placing a observer facing into these guys. And whenever there is a inventory here that is losing items, the observer is going to detect that, and we're going to power the crafting of golden ingots into our farm here. And that is the entirety of the input system now complete. What I like to do is I just like to add a little bit more glass around the entire thing just to make it feel a little bit more sound. So now we are basically done. The only thing we're missing is to move our items up to where the player sits for our convenience. So we're going to start off by removing these blocks. We're going to bring 2 double chests like this. And we're going to want some hoppers behind those guys. So everywhere you see your item filter is where you're going to have a set of chests. So we can extend this going all the way down, placing a whole bunch of blocks. And we're going to have double chest in front of all these guys. Okay, so I went ahead and built up the platform as well as labeled all of our chests here. We're now going to start building up the item elevators. In the nether, we can't use bubble columns because we can't place water. So the way we do item elevators is if you take a dropper facing upward and you surround every block of the center with a solid block or a glass block, you guys will notice that the item gets sent upward and it acts as an item elevator. So all we have to do is build up these pillars for each one of the droppers up until you get to this height. Once you get to this height, you're going to take some ice, go backwards just like this, and then build these up 2 more blocks. And now notice whenever I place myself an item inside of here and I trigger the dropper, it sends the items all the way up and into our storage system. These that are placed right next to each other, same idea. They're just going to share one of the walls, which isn't an issue. And you're just going to build them going right the way to the top. And that'll take care of that. I'm not going to build these up. I'm sure you guys get the idea. And again, these don't have to be glass blocks. You can make these solid blocks if you want. The only thing we need to do now is power the droppers whenever they receive any items. So for these droppers down here, you're going to start by placing a observer facing that way with a comparator on top of it, a solid block behind this guy, a solid block in front of this. Going to go down a redstone, a piece of redstone there, redstone here, solid block in front of that guy, 2 more blocks here, redstone dust, and then a repeater. So what this does is this will create a clock whenever it receives items, and it'll start shooting them upward. And then you just have to repeat that for the rest of these. So again, items enter, they get shot up the item elevator, and they make their way into our storage system up here. When it comes to these that are right next to each other, they're a little bit trickier, but it's the same build still. You just go back here, temporary blocks, remove these, solid block, comparator, solid block, come down, redstone, right here, and here as well. Make our way back just like that. And you can go ahead and repeat this for the tile right next to it, as well as for our unstackable items. And once you build up the rest of those item elevators, as well as clocks down there, farm is officially finished. The only thing left to do is make sure that there are no unwanted items left inside of the shulker boxes. This is actually a pretty simple process. You just walk in front of it as close as you can, pick up the shulker, and then check that there are no items in there that might have gotten stuck from the building process. Once you've checked all of the shulker boxes, you can place them back, and the farm is officially complete. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see more tutorials like this, or if you want me to make a tutorial on any type of farm that you're struggling with, comment down below and I'll do my best. In case I never see your wonderful faces again, I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your lives. Until next time, it was Zombie.